All right, let's go. Colts-Chiefs. Chiefs by 5.5. Over-under 57. We might have some snow, Josh. At game time, I'm reading the weather report right. 32, 33 degrees, 30% chance of snow. Love it. I want some snow on a late Saturday afternoon in Kansas City. I can't wait. Did you think 6 weeks ago, did you have imagined the Chiefs only being favored by 5.5 at home against the Colts in a playoff game?
No, I guess not. No. If you look at, especially if you look at the way they've beaten their opponents this year, and for the most part, I'm looking through the schedule right now, and all these games they've won by pretty healthy margins. Earlier in the season, anyway. Later in the season, they haven't played quite as well, and those games have gotten closer, and they've lost a couple. So, but no, I mean the Chiefs have looked so dominant on offense this year, and everybody knows their defense isn't very good, but it seems like the Chiefs are a team they're going to win every game by about 10 points or so. So yeah, that's a little surprising.
Yep. We'll get to the injuries right now, real quick. The Colts, the biggest concern for the Colts. All right, one of their safeties, Mike Mitchell, is on IR. That's not a huge loss. Malik Hooker, their young safety, has been in a walking boot with a foot injury all week. He hasn't practiced. He says he'll play. Listed as questionable. We're not sure yet. One of their linemen, Tyquan Lewis, is doubtful of a knee injury. That's not good. T.Y. Hilton hasn't practiced all week, but he hasn't been practicing for a few weeks, I think, and they're expecting him to play. On the Chiefs side, they're hoping to get Spencer Ware and Sammy Watkins back. Ware probably sounds better than Watkins. Again, they're questionable, so we don't know. They're both limited in practice this week. Eric Berry not going to play again. So we talked about the schedules. The Chiefs started out like gangbusters, and now they've lost 3 of their last 6. They lost that game in LA to the Rams, the Monday night shootout. They lost to the Chargers at home a few weeks ago, and then they lost at Seattle. No embarrassing losses there. At home, okay, they beat the Raiders on the road by a touchdown. At home, they beat the Ravens by 3 in overtime in a game where they were down by 7 until a fourth quarter conversion very, very late. They strolled over the Raiders in week 17. The Chiefs, do you think, if you look at this late schedule, you look at how they've played, are they slipping? I mean, we know they can't stop anybody, but are they was it due to happen, or is it something that you think is sort of a decline happening?
I think to some degree it was due to happen, but then, you look at their schedule earlier in the year, and, like you kind of noted this, but it should be noted those 3 of the last 6 wins, 3 wins in the last 6 games, 2 of those wins were against the Raiders. So that barely even counts. So, but you look at the early season wins, and they beat the Chargers in week 1, they beat the Steelers in week 2. Both of those were good wins. Everything else is like kind of meh. I mean, they won big, but they didn't really play anybody. They played the Broncos a couple times they just fired the coach. So how can you the Broncos were okay at times, but they ended up firing the coach. They beat the Browns, which in retrospect seems like a pretty good win. But other than that, I mean, these wins are and not that it's their fault because that's what the schedule was, but the only really good team like I said, they beat Steelers and Chargers, who are both good teams, and then they lose to Patriots in week 6. So most of the times they play good teams, they lose, which you never really thought about until recently.
Right.
So I guess there's still questions about whether or not the Chiefs are at that elite level. I mean, we think they are because of the record and because of how good that offense is, but most of the time when they play a really good team, they're not winning those games. So right. Something to think about. Now, whether the Colts are on that level or on the level of, a Rams, or even a Chargers, that's a different question. But I mean, that is the question. But I think there are real questions still about if the Chiefs can get to that tippy top level, I guess.
Okay. The Colts, on the other. By the way, the Chiefs. Couple things about the Chiefs. A few stats here. They're 7-1 at home, but only 4-4 against the spread. In those 6 games that they played, that they've lost 3, they've allowed more than 30 points a game, and that's including only giving up 3 against the Raiders. Like we said, they can't stop anybody. In their last 7 games, they're 1-5-1 against the spread. They are 30. I can go through a lot of stats and say how bad they are on defense. 31st in the league in yards per rush allowed. I mean, there's just a bunch of bad things. Their defense is just no good. Other hand of this game, the Colts, they won 11 out of 12, counting the wild card game here. In the 9 games since the bye, they've allowed 15.3 points per game. At the beginning of the year, this team was looked at as kind of a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
And the draft that they had has just been, it was just stellar. It was really, really good. I mean, they made that trade with the Jets for Darnold, and they traded down, and they got Quentin Nelson. They drafted another guard in the second round. They drafted Darius Leonard, who's an all-pro. I mean, they drafted 2 all-pros in the first 35 picks. Fantastic job. I mean, Chris Ballard, executive of the year, well-deserved. They came quick, these guys. The Colts, 6-3 against the spread on the road, 5-4 straight up. They're good against the run. 3.9 yards per carry allowed, 6th in the league. These guys they're good on both sides of the ball here. The only thing you worry about maybe is Hilton's injury, but he's been playing through it and playing fine. They can score. They can run and throw. Their offensive line has been getting better all the time. The defense has been getting better all the time. I said earlier, this might be the wild card team pick to roll through. They have gotten really, really good. Like next year, I go into the season next year, I'm going, they're probably the best team in the AFC.
And, then we're not even talking about Andrew Luck and about how good he's been this year and about how, he's come back so hard and so strong. Mm-hmm. I wonder how much Kareem Hunt not being in the lineup for the Chiefs has mattered. Because
I wonder that too.
Their running game without him, it just simply isn't as dynamic. Damian Williams has been good. He's been fine. Spencer Ware's been kind of okay. But I wrote about this a few weeks ago in Pick Watch about, obviously the Chiefs had no choice. They had to get rid of him. So that wasn't the choice. But the choice was, or I guess the question was, how are they going to be without him? And that, they haven't proven yet that they're like a top winning team without him. One thing I did want to mention about the Colts, though, not that it means a whole lot, but the Colts have won 5 of the past 6 games they've played in Kansas City. That dates back to 1996, so obviously a bunch of different teams there. But as a franchise, and I think most of those games were in December, November, December, so late in the season, so kind of cold like we were talking about before. Just something to think about. Also, what do you think about in this? So as much as we talked about Patrick Mahomes, this is his first playoff game as a starter. You kind of wonder how he's going to be. I think he's going to be fine because he's proven all year long like he's not a regular. I know he's not a rookie quarterback, but he's basically a rookie quarterback. He's right. Not a regular kind of rookie quarterback where he doesn't really have bad games. So I think he'll be fine. But and it's good that he's going to be at home to start his playoff career. But again, something to think about with that. The playoffs are a little bit different beast.
Yeah, and one thing about him, much as easy to love the guy, he's no stranger to turning the ball over. Right. Like he takes risks, and I think that's a good thing overall. But turnovers are turnovers, and it only takes one to turn a game a little bit. This is. I think the way these teams are playing. Like I'm one of the people. I think resting guys in week 17 is fine. I think momentum can be overrated, especially with the team getting a week off. And because of the way the Chiefs played late, that's not alone what turns me off to them. I'm not turned off. I think I said to Ryan the other day, if I'm getting 5.5 points, and I really think the underdog can win this game, that has a pretty good shot to win it, I'm going to go that way. I think for me, that's, I almost think, I don't know about toss-up, and I don't want to downplay the Chiefs. I still think, as bad as their defense is, I think they have a shot to win the Super Bowl. It's kind of seems ridiculous, but, I think they could because their offense is so strong. And if Watkins comes back, that's a big deal. It's a bigger deal that people want to make it out to be, even though stats weren't that big. I think I got to go Colts here because I think they can win outright.
So are you picking them straight up too?
I am not picking them straight up.
Do you think they could? Yeah. I'm going with the Chiefs straight up and Chiefs against the spread. For as much as people talk about Andy Reid and his failures in the playoffs, he's still really good. He's still a really good coach, and he's still really good against when he gets 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent. And that's kind of been talked about. And that's a fun topic every time the Chiefs have the bye week during the season, and how good Andy Reid is coming off the bye.
Yep.
I think he's 17-3 now lifetime after KC won this year. But he's also really good in the playoffs coming off a bye. He's 4-1. His teams are 4-1 coming off when they skip wildcard weekend. So, it's kind of I don't want to say it's a meaningless stat, but I think you could look at it that way, but to me, there's a trend there, and that Andy Reid's a good coach and he's a good preparer of his team, which I think goes a long way. So you have 2 weeks to prepare for Indianapolis. Indianapolis played. It wasn't a tough game last week, but they had to play and they had to go on the road. I don't know. I think the Chiefs have a lot of vulnerabilities and they have a lot of problems, and just, like you said, like we've talked about, they haven't played particularly well lately. I don't see them losing this game, and I think it could be. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I think they can win by a touchdown, by 10 points, something like that.
All right. So Josh is taking Chiefs straight up and against the spread. I am taking the Colts with the points, which is right now, like I said, 5.5. Also, over under 57, which is kind of high. The pace of play, which I've been just kind of keeping an eye on. Colts are the fastest team in the league in pace of play. So Colts playing fast, giving the ball back to a team that has superpowered offense, I'm going over. And that's not the only reason, but I mean, they're going to score a lot of points. As good as the Colts defense is, this is a game this looks like a 34-31 kind of game to me. So right now, on NFL Pick Watch, 64% of fans like the Colts getting the points. Sorry, 64% of the experts like the Colts getting the points. 67% of the fans like the Colts getting the points. So the Colts are popular.